Disclaimer: the following program features language not suitable for all audiences, and the expressed opinions found within this program are a reflection of those who feature on the PopCulture Effect podcast. Welcome to the PopCulture Effect. I'm Rockin Rob, and on this show, I bring my closest friends together to talk about all the news happening in our pop culture world around us. Welcome, one and all, to yet another episode of our silly little show here. But this is a very special, well, I mean, technically it's a very special episode because this recording will start on 99, but beyond, we will be at 100. So we finally made it to 100 episodes, so hell yeah. Woo woo. But to get into it, I want to
Dude,
welcome...
you sounded so enthusiastic over that.
Oh yeah, I am tired. No, but to be real, I am very glad that
you sound f***ing dead.
I don't blame I feel dead.
I am fueled by the energy of editing. That is what keeps me alive. But I would like to
nicotine and caffeine.
Hey, I don't do caffeine. I try to stay away from that kind of stuff. I don't know how I live without it though, but I would like to welcome all my lovely friends to this very monumental moment for us. So wow, okay, great. Already flopping.
And we're leaving that in.
Yep. I'd like to welcome Gemini.
Hello.
And I would like to welcome Menace.
Hello.
Welcoming back for the first time in a while. We have Blaze.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, where you been?
Stop setting up recording sessions on days I can't be here.
Dude, it's not my fault that you happen to have to go off to war every time we sit down to record.
Not my fault you can't schedule right.
Okay, it'll be easier going forward, okay? Because there's a thing. Going forward, we will be switching to bi-weekly uploads at 100, and that is just to kind of give me a little bit of a respite to kind of be able to do other stuff with my time so I'm not on my computer 24/7. Not saying I can't do it, not saying I don't love it, but just saying that, you know, some things need to take a back seat sometimes. Now, there's been a little bit of a change up since last week that I want to make note of, and that is the fact that the smaller shorts of the episodes themselves will be featuring on the PopCulture Effect YouTube channel, and PCE shorts will be aimed more at the shorter content that I record as supplemental topics for each full episode, and maybe a few local stories you'll be able to look forward to. Just thought I'd clear that up after a little bit of admin in the background, mainly me realizing I can't use related videos on videos that aren't made from that channel. Yeah, I feel dumb. Okay, and then for future editing, Bobbert, 1, I'm not a bitch, no matter what these 3 people say.
Mega bitch.
Okay. 2nd, do the flip reversey. Anyways, but to celebrate this lovely occasion... What?
The flip reversey?
Yeah, the flip reversey, you know, Willy Wonka style. And I think I'm watching too much Casey Rocket. Anyways... Now I've got 2 very exciting topics to discuss for this episode, and the first will be one from my own heart, and this first one will be one I'm a little unfamiliar with, and that's the new Gumball series, The Wonderfully Weird World of Gumball. Now, this is coming to Hulu with no release date set as of yet, but it didn't show a lot of what the show will have to offer, as a lot of it is probably going to be saved for the official trailer, as this was just a teaser. But this essentially poked fun at the fact that Cartoon Network hadn't used the IP of Gumball for about 7 years. So it'll be interesting how they actually approach this version of Gumball. Like I said, I'm a little bit unfamiliar with the show. I've watched bits and pieces, but never sat through the whole thing. But at least from what I can tell, it is kind of similar to shows like Regular Show, or that one show about high school fishes, where it's just slice of life, but everything is wacky and zany and completely out of control. Now, this is really weird because I thought at one point there was going to be a Gumball movie, but it seems this is what they're focusing on now, so I'm the guy that loves extra episodes and extra seasons, but the one thing I want to discuss, and the one kind of dangling thread, at least from the last season, this was basically an extra dimensional space that Gumball, Darwin, and that one minimum wage worker got lost in, and the fact that they're just in their bedroom sleeping away the 7 years is a little bit weird. Like, they don't really explain explain how we got from point A to point B, but I'm sure they'll explain it in the first episode. Now, the one interesting fact about this revival or sequel series, or however you want to call it, and that is the fact that they have both been recast for this new show. On one hand, I can kind of understand, as the original voice actors aged, their voices would change and they may not sound like the same voices that they want Gumball and Darwin to be. And going with that, I wonder if any of the other characters will be recast. Maybe Anissa, but I really hope the parents kind of keep their voice actors because their voices are kind of iconic. Granted, to that same point, there's probably a couple people that could imitate those voices just as well. But it is very weird to get this kind of recast, as at least in my history, I have seen other examples of this, mainly Bugs Bunny, where iconic characters have to deal with new voice actors trying to take on the role. In a more recent example, Rick and Morty. But at least from how it sounds, they sound pretty much the same. There's not really a big distinction between the voice actors, so I'm sure nobody's really going to be making too much of a fuss about this. But I will say the animation style stays exactly the same, being 2D in a kind of 3D world, which really makes all the other side characters that much cooler because there's some that are 2D art, there's some that are 3D art, there's some that are CGI, there's some that are human. It is really crazy the amount and diversity of animation styles in this show, and with the title Wonderfully Weird World, I'd expect them to just go balls to the wall and go far beyond expectations. And who knows, this may even lead into a movie later down the line, seeing as streaming is kind of the new medium now. Like, yes, there is a budget for movies, but right now it's better to just put out a show and be able to gauge audience reactions season by season rather than just waiting for the reaction to a theatrical release. Now, again, there isn't any release date for this, but I assume it'll air sometime in the end of 2025, maybe early 2026. But yeah, at least from me, I'm very glad to see another animated show get a little bit of a continuation. Obviously, Avatar: The Last Airbender will be getting a new movie and a new series, which is great because it kind of just proves that Korra was literally the worst Avatar, but that's a separate point. I'll be talking about at a different point in time. But yeah, Gumball and Darwin are back, and at least for me, it's kind of refreshing, especially with the fact that Cartoon Network hadn't used them again for 7 whole goddamn years. The fact that there are companies that withhold IP and just don't do anything with, it's the most frustrating thing to me because I'm the one that loves art. I'm the one that loves expressionism, and I'm always the one that loves when people broadcast their ideas through visual means. But it is really nice to get this bit of refreshment with the wonderfully weird world of Gumball. I'm sure the old fans will love this, and I'm sure this will capture a new audience, and hell, it might even convince me to watch it. But at this point, I've pretty much talked about everything that's going on with how we got to this point with this new wonderfully weird World of Gumball trailer. But yeah, at this point, I think it might be time for me to send it back. It's time for me to send it back to me and my friends as we continue our discussion on the Oblivion remake.
So in the sense of the actual game, I think it's pretty solid. It's a remaster of the game. It's kind of hard to mess it up, and honestly, you can mess up remasters, and I think they didn't. I think they did a very good job. They updated the character creator to where it's a bit more intuitive to use, but they didn't suck away the soul of it. Essentially, they didn't suck away Oblivion's soul with this. I think they kept Oblivion's soul perfectly well intact with this remake. I commend Bethesda for essentially not giving too much fanfare, and I think within the first couple days, I
said you could say they didn't use a soul gem.
Yeah, they didn't. They did a very good job on this, and I do have to give a lot of the fact that Todd Howard did it again. He dropped this game, and I think within a day or two, it sold over 1 million copies. I mean, to be fair, he also probably knew it would. We're his cash cows, and we'll give him money the moment he says new game, and we're like, yes, please. Not really new game, but with a new coat of paint, yes, please, we'll take it for the love of God. And old game, new paint, yes, old game, new paint. The nice thing with this too is when you get this, because I remember back in the day, Oblivion became not only famous but infamous because I'm pretty sure it was one of the first games to ever release paid DLC. And that paid DLC was horse armor back in the day. So I remember, I think it caught a lot of flack for that.
I'm gonna riot. If they do that again, I'm gonna riot.
So no, I think, so there is like a deluxe edition you can buy, and I don't, because I think getting the base of Oblivion Remaster, you get base game, obviously. I believe you get, I'm gonna have to do a quick.
I think you got like a basic set of horse armor, but the deluxe edition gave you that special horse armor.
Yeah, and like that's whatever. That's kind of them, I guess. You could say almost an homage of their roots, but
that's more of a funny haha.
But the expansions that came afterwards, the DLCs, Knights of the Nine and Shivering Isles, do come with the base of Oblivion Remaster. So it's not like last time where you bought the base game separately and then you'd have to get the DLCs. They did ship Oblivion Remaster with both Knights of the Nine and the Shivering Isles, which the Shivering Isles was a very good DLC. I don't remember much of it. I know I did complete it, not the Knights of the Nine. That's such a good DLC, so I haven't gotten a chance to fiddle with that yet because I'm saving that more for mid to / end game content, just because me having an autismo moment, it fits well with my story to do it closer to the end, because every time I play these games, I create a character with a full story in mind, and I just blank face stare at the screen while picturing this story happening. It sounds so goddamn dorky, but that's what I do.
But that's kind of how these are supposed to go, though.
Yeah, but I take it a little further. My character is meant to be the grandmother of my Skyrim character.
I mean, I have 3 characters that just have their own backstory that go in any world that has character creation.
That's fair.
Yes, the copy and paste characters.
Hey, yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, but I guess quick question then. Favorite race of the Elder Scrolls series?
I picked the is it Drow or Shadow Elf?
Dunmer, Dark Elf, yes. With the red eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Dunmer, the Dark Elf. What about you, Blaze?
I usually go for either Nord or Redguard.
I was thinking you.
Yeah.
I was thinking you played Nord. You give like Nord vibes. I like the Wood Elves, the Bosmer. They're my favorite. I love them, even though I don't play them as they're intended, because they're meant to be the intended like sneak archer race. I go mage. I don't care.
Khajiit would be like sneak archer race.
Khajiit are meant to be the sneak thief with like daggers, so they're more the sneak melee. Bosmer are specifically, they always get stats towards archery, so they're the sneak archer race. Khajiits are meant to be like the sneak thief.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd ask Robbie, but he's too much of a lame-o to play these games.
Single player games, not for Bobbert.
Hey,
he has to use his brain too much for this.
The human protagonist? No, not for Bobbert.
He doesn't have the creativity to create a protagonist.
Okay, the only time I ever played Skyrim was through a second party because it was my next door neighbor that had it. So I've never played any of these Elder Scrolls.
Dude, I remember you going on a rant once how you hated characters that weren't predetermined because you felt it was a lazy cop-out method.
Yeah, I think I believed a lot of stupid things before.
Predetermined characters, and he just skips the story.
Yeah, you're the person that would look at
gameplay.
those videos. You ignore the gameplay. You're the type of person that would see that TikTok of being like, do you want the most overpowered shit in the game? Do X, Y, and Z. You would do that, and then you'd be all like, this game isn't fun.
You don't like gameplay. You like game mechanics, as in shooting, pew, pew, pow, pow, pow.
How many times can I do this Easter egg on Call of Duty?
I think Sunset Overdrive spoiled me on that because that game was literally just full of nonsensical press button and you get dopamine.
Sunset Overdrive had an actual good story to it too.
Yeah, and you could imagine that the story wasn't the thing I was interested in.
Dude, this is why you only play shooters, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nasty.
But yeah, no, like, I've always been interested by them, though. Don't get me wrong. I have all the respect in the world for, like, Elder Scrolls, for the games that they've been able to make. And the one question I do actually have, because there's one thing that I'm always curious about. Now that they've remade this game, what other game do you guys want them to remaster next?
Oh, dude, Morrowind? I'd fucking shit myself if they remastered Morrowind. I want to play that so fucking badly. Dude, I want to play Morrowind so badly, but that is one where I'm sure when it came out, it was like, it won Game of the Year for when it released, which I think that one was 2006, maybe earlier. When that one came out, it won Game of the Year. It's a very good game, very solid story. They all have very good stories. I'd love to see them remaster Morrowind, because the problem with Morrowind is, it did not age well. Oh, does it look bad?
I'm not even a big fan of the Fallout games, but I really would like to see New Vegas.
Oh, yeah. I would like to, like, if we're talking about other Bethesda games outside of the Elder Scrolls, I would love to see New Vegas remastered, because New Vegas is probably the best Fallout game they've ever made. And they didn't even fully make it, technically.
I would like them to see, I guess it would be more of a remake than a remaster, but I want them to remake Fallout 1 or 2 into like an actual shooter art style.
Yeah, that one would be interesting, because like those two weren't even made by Bethesda. That was the original creators of the Fallout series before. I don't remember if they went bankrupt or what happened, but then they sold the rights to Bethesda after the second game. That's why it's such a drastic difference in style from the 3D isometric point and click to then, and like slight turn based, to then what they are now of like they were both open world, but it was like more, it was harder to do that in the isometric variant. But to the open world, third person over the or like either first person or third person camera view game. So I kind of would like to see, sorry, let the truck go by. I would like to see Bethesda try their hand at Fallout 1 and 2. I could see that one being, I don't know. I could see that being very risky, because that definitely would fall into the category of like the ones who have played and love Fallout 1 and 2 would be very critical. So very critical, to the point where they probably don't even want it done, which I can see that.
I can see that as well.
I think with that one, it would be very interesting. If they don't ever choose to, which I could see why they wouldn't, that would basically be like fully rebuilding from the bottom up, almost like creating a new game at that point. Like, yeah, the whole story is fleshed out for them, but that'd be basically creating a whole new game entirely.
That's why I considered it more of a remake than a remaster.
Yeah. So for that, it would be nice, but I have to agree with Blaze. I would love to see a New Vegas remaster remake. Especially with this, like, whatever engine, whatever they use for Oblivion, seeing that for, like, the ones that Oblivion shared with the Fallout games of 3 and New Vegas, I'd love to see it. I think it would look very beautiful. My only complaint is I don't know what is with these games and their fuzziness to them. That is really bugging the shit out of me. What is with these new games and this fuzziness? I feel like I'm not wearing my glasses half the time.
They put a grain filter over everything to give it that film look, and I don't know, it also puts that fuzzy on it.
Yeah, especially like around like hair. So like the trolls, they look like walking fluff balls, but like grainy ones, and it looks weird. Also, I forgot how aggressive trolls were in this game. They f***ing run at you like gorillas, and I'm like, what the f*** is that? I haven't played, since this, I have not touched Oblivion. I picked up a copy of the original a couple years ago, but that was at least 4.5 years ago since I played it. But since I like last sat down and fully played Oblivion, oh god, it's probably been 15 years. It's been a long time since I've like fully sat down and played through Oblivion, so I've forgotten a lot of like the minor details. Like I know the story and everything, but like I've forgotten a lot of the minor details, and I'm like, holy shit, is that how this works? God, I kind of prefer how they did it in Skyrim. Or
yeah, I've been so confused going through, because like Skyrim story, you wake up and you're like, oh yeah, you're the guy, go do hero shit, and it's like, oh okay, that makes sense. And they kind of do the same thing, but they do it a lot more cryptic.
With this, you're not. That's the thing with Oblivion, you're a guy, but you're not the guy in truth.
Yeah,
you're someone who's helping the guy, and I kind of like that, because you're still an important pawn in the overarching story and everything, but you're not like the defining person that is going to make all of the like critical decisions that will save the world. You're kind of like a side character almost.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like how Oblivion did that, because in Morrowind you were the guy, in Skyrim you're the guy. In this one, you're just a guy who helps the guy. And I like that. Like, yeah, you're doing a lot of important things. You can, as in Skyrim, I can't compare with Morrowind because I didn't play Morrowind. I think I played 10 minutes. I walked into the first town. I left town. A worm started following me for 10 minutes. And I'm like, what the is happening? And I couldn't handle it anymore because I'm like, this game is giving my brain an aneurysm with just how it looks. But no, yeah. So like they have a lot of the same factions. You have the Thieves Guild, the Dark Brotherhood, Mages Guild, the Fighters Guild. They're all the same in the sense of like they're all there. They're the same from the old one. Did a good job. I never really bothered with the other guilds because all I cared about was magic. I know people consider the Dark Brotherhood line in Oblivion to be one of the best storylines, and it's actually not that bad. I just haven't played it myself because I don't like playing an assassin because I find it kind of boring.
I don't find stealth like boring. Like being an assassin type character is fine if you're actually like moving around or something, but stealth archer where you're just kind of like sitting, shooting arrows at everything in one stationary position.
Yeah. One thing that they definitely did keep, and I get it, it is realistic. I know a lot of people really, really love this mechanic. I have the brain capacity and the patience of a goddamn pea and a grub. I, still to this day, fucking hate the lockpicking system in this game. Oh my god, I do not have the patience for it. I still have yet to figure it out.
I don't want to say input delay, but like sometime, I swear.
I have heard some people say the lockpicking system is a little bit more trickier in this one. I think there's like a sound cue people said you could hear in the original that you can't really hear in this one.
Yeah.
I don't notice it because, like I said, I could never get the lockpicking system in this game. I much preferred the Skyrim one. I think that was a lot better, but that, like I said, I felt that was easier. I get the Oblivion one is a lot more realistic, but
Skyrim's lockpicking and the Fallout that came along during that, because they were kind of doing back and forth. They kind of revolutionized lockpicking for all stealth games.
They did, but I do understand the lockpicking system in Oblivion is considered the more realistic style of how you lockpick, like legitimately. I never have, so I don't know what it's actually like to lockpick, but I have heard it's a lot more realistic in like getting the tumblers up and making sure they're all up as you're like picking the lock and everything. It's just, I don't have the patience for it. Whenever I see a lock and I'm like, that's above like an easy lock, I'm not even going to bother with it unless it's story. Which I do like. At the very least, they have managed to make a workaround for that, and there are spells to unlock things. So that's what I'm just waiting for, is to get the higher level unlocking spells at this point. Which is one thing, I haven't fully dabbled with it. Even back then I didn't, because back then I was a kid and I was stupid. I do like how Oblivion has a spell crafting system, to where if I'm pretty sure you can make almost any spell you want. Granted, it's within the limits of the game, but...
Is that in stealth to get those?
The unlocking spells, or... No, I think it's... what spell is that? What class? God, where is it? That is alteration magic.
Oh, okay.
Which, yeah, I have the open, easy, and very easy lock spells. I just have to get the higher ones. But yeah, no, that's something I always like. You can craft, like, spells and everything. This, I think, you can also craft, probably scrolls too, but I never fully dabbled with it because as a kid I was just like, I don't really care. That's a lot. That's too much work for me. I don't feel like dealing with that. As an adult, yeah, I'll probably dabble with that now. But yeah, Oblivion remake, remaster, whatever the this is. Oblivion 2, but not 2. Very fun.
2.0.
Oblivion 2.0, definitely would recommend it if you were a previous enjoyer of the game. You probably already have. The nice thing is, if you don't really feel like spending the money for it and you have Xbox Game Pass, it was a day one Game Pass drop, and I very appreciated that. Very much well appreciated that. Holy shit, English is a very difficult language at times. That's what I've been playing it on. But I would also recommend buying it if you also love it. I probably will at some point. I don't know. Very fun. It's basically, like I said, how you saw Oblivion as a kid when you first played it, or young adult, depending on how old you were when it came out. It's how you imagined Oblivion when you played it on your old CRTVs that were big enough to crush your foot, that were big enough to crush your foot if you dropped it. Ugh, my back. Well, that's all I have to say on Bethesda's re-release of a banger. Hold on. Okay.
No, keep going.
That's all I have to say on Todd Howard, God Howard, however the on his banger of a re-release. Always does well. Honestly, I don't think he has done anything of a actual legitimate
Let's not forget. Starfield, let's not forget.
You see, I forgot that was a thing, so I guess they have flopped at least once. I forgot about Starfield, and I'm sure a lot of people forget it. It's a shame that his space game didn't. It's a shame they never made a space game.
I feel like at some level they made this game to bring the funds back in Bethesda after Starfield flopped.
Honestly, that could have been another thing. It could have been a mixture of to keep people back, or to get people back because Starfield did poorly, and to keep the attention while they're working on Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah.
Now, wrapping up this Hulu two-parter, I've got another trailer that I want to discuss, and that is the fact that we got the opening credits for the new King of the Hill season. Now, they don't necessarily show anything of what we're going to see, as this is your run-of-the-mill intro cinematic for the show, but at least from what we see within the show, we see quite a bit of growth through the years, because we see a large amount of time pass. We see the Hill family actually move out of their home with we actually see the Hill family move out of their home, and a new character moves in and replaces Hank in the role of the four guys drinking by the roadside. And then COVID hit, which was crazy that they actually addressed that. And then obviously Hank Hill, Peggy Hill, and Bobby all return to the house, but they are quite a bit older. Bobby, in some of the promotional art, is actually shown to be a father. So it is very interesting to see how this show will go, because Bobby's an adult. Peggy and Hank are probably going to be dealing with the late 50s, 60s age where you're getting closer to the end of your life. So it'll be interesting to see how Hank and Peggy deal with that. And Boomhauer has a kid too. That's something that I genuinely did not expect from what we have seen from the story of King of the Hill. I'm sure this will continue the trend of the recent seasons and have Hank continue his very conservative leaning perspectives and opinions in an even further growing and expanding world. Think about every single societal change that has happened, and think about how Hank is going to react to those. It is going to be palpable. I am going to enjoy this series so much, and I just hope that they have each and every one of these characters change a tiny bit, but still stay the same core person that they are. Because that's what I think really was endearing about this show, was that this was just a family of people that all made their own mistakes, all made their own choices, and all had to deal with society and their perspective view on society. But I will say the majority of my history with King of the Hill is from the YouTuber Shady Do-Rags with his commentary videos, which are honestly just really funny and actually provide a lot of great context to go with the episodes. Now, the one truly saddening part about this whole thing is how the show will change due to the recent horrible and demonstrous killing of Jonathan Joss, the voice actor of John Redcorn. Now, I don't want to go into too many details because this is a very touchy subject, so if you do want to know more, please feel free to look into it on your own. But this will impact the revival and potentially cause the character to be recast or written off. But we would like to extend our regards and prayers to Josh's husband and extended family for their loss, and the loss for the entertainment world as a whole. And to top it all off, we even got some leaked footage of a private showing of the actual trailer for the new season, and personally I love the clips they showcased, showing off the comedy of the show and the growth of all the characters. Now, I'm not going to go into every detail because I want to encourage everyone to go out of their way to check out this footage before it becomes a trailer on Hulu's YouTube channel proper. Now, the one note I will add is I absolutely love how they treated both Bobby and Connie. But yeah, for those of you that enjoyed King of the Hill back in the day like me, it's going to be really refreshing to see this new season come out in August, again on Hulu. And, you know, I'm really happy to see that King of the Hill took the alternative route, because, you know, on all these other adult cartoon shows like American Dad, Family Guy, none of the characters really age. They never really progress aside from like single episode situations like when Stewie reversed time and was unborn, or Meg going to college, or South Park and the Pandemic special. There are examples of this, but to see a show actually age itself with all its characters is so refreshing, because one of my pet peeves in media is when characters are stagnant. You can't stay 10 years old forever, Ben 10. You have to age up to 15 and then 16. And honestly, he should have been 17 in Omniverse, or 18, but that's just me. It's just really nice that this is going to be not just, oh, the next season of King of the Hill 2 days or a month after the last season. No, this is essentially an anime time gap. This is a break in time where, I mean, yes, we get to see some of the inklings of what happened in the meantime, but we're starting fresh. We're starting with brand new concepts, brand new episodes, a brand new cast, not necessarily in voice actors or characters, but in the way they're portrayed. They will have new challenges to overcome. They'll have new perspectives and new opinions to challenge, and I'm all for it. But at this point, there's not much else to say, as we've got quite a long way to wait before this comes out. So at this point, I've pretty much wrapped up everything I want to talk about for the new intro cinematic for the King of the Hill. But at this point, I think it's time for me to send it back to me and my friends to end this week's episode.
Thank you guys for letting me come back and doing another episode with y'all. Thanks, Robbie.
Do more movie reviews. Watch more movies.
Trust me, I'll be doing some more movie reviews. You don't have to take them from me.
No, but I'm glad that you were able to join us for our big, I mean, technically 99 through 103, but our big 100 celebration episode, so woo.
Yes. Thanks, Gemini.
A pleasure as always.
And thanks, Menace.
Oh yeah, always fun.
But thanks for checking out our podcast. If you want to watch some of our older stuff, there's our YouTube channel, PopCulture Effect. And please check out everyone else's podcasts on CJSW and enjoy everyone else's content. And with that, I think it's good to sign off. See ya!
Bye-bye.